Hello, I'm sorry about the background noise, that's the fan, but this attic is so blisteringly hot, I absolutely have to have that fan running or I'd pass out from the heat. And for the same reason, this video will have to stay rather short as well. I'm going to be talking about a couple of ex-posts from Colonel Douglas MacGregor, who says in this post here that 1/3 of Tel Aviv has been reduced to rubble by Iran's shelling. Here we are. And that things are so bad all over Israel that the Israel Air Force has transferred its operations to the British Air Force Base in Akrotiri. That's in Cyprus, quite a distance away. This is demonstrably false, as anyone will see who's been following any of the Israeli bloggers who are actually there, who have simply looked at any of the news sources. So before I carry on, I'll tell you I'm granniopteryx. I would appreciate it if you'd like this video, if you'd share it. Now let's get this closer. Yeah, if you'd like this video, if you'd share it, and if you would subscribe to my channel. Also, it would be nice if you contributed financially. You don't have to. Sharing is pretty good anyway. But if you do, remember that all gets frittered away on horseshoes and, given the season, fly spray. All right, let's talk about Douglas MacGregor. Okay, so look, I'm really sorry I don't have time up here to start pulling out pictures and that sort of thing, but you can no doubt find them for yourself, and maybe you'll take my word for it. So far as I have read, there is damage in around, also as far as I managed to work out, about 0.003% of Tel Aviv that's been damaged. And there's absolutely no evidence of widespread destruction of Israeli Air Force runways or airfields. This could change because I understand that Iran is now using missiles with some sort of cluster bomb payload, so they sound pretty nasty. But at the moment, that's the situation. And that was the situation when Colonel MacGregor released that post. And I just don't understand why he would have done that. Why is he saying what he's saying? It really doesn't make any sense. I mean, he has made sensible posts, so ones with which I might disagree, but they're sensible anyway. It says here, the notion that millions of Iranian citizens are going to turn on their own government and beg Israel and the United States to invade their country and change their leadership is sheer lunacy. And I mean, that's a sensible opinion. It may be right, it may be wrong, but it's not a silly thing to say. And then there's this one. He says here, the United States should not get involved in a war with Iran. And again, I think that's a perfectly reasonable opinion. I may disagree with his assessment, but it's certainly reasonable enough. And he's certainly a military man, and I am giving him the credit of knowing something about matters military. Now, my own opinion is that if Iran, under its present regime, does get nuclear capability, the entire world is in danger. That's my opinion. Colonel MacGregor can make his own arguments against that opinion, and there may be a dozen reasons why I'm wrong. But there, at least I can say that my opinion is based on my knowledge of the situation right now. That is, it's based on the reality that if Iran gets a nuclear bomb, Saudi Arabia will immediately get its own nuclear bomb. MBS has already said that. My concern about Iran developing nuclear capability then is based on the situation we have now. It isn't based on me making things up. If, for instance, I said that Ayatollah Khamenei had a secret invisible air fleet that's going to rain secret invisible bombs down on New York within the next week, I wouldn't expect that to be an argument which would induce the American public to back a war with Iran. In fact, I would suggest that it would make any reasonable person less likely to believe me about anything else I might say. So with MacGregor, when he said that the Ukraine war was a foregone conclusion with regard to Russia, that was a reasonable conclusion for him to reach because of the relative strengths of the two combatants. It didn't turn out quite the walkover he said it would be, simply because of a lot of unknowns which became apparent only later on. No one could blame him for that. But making up stories about catastrophic damage to Israeli cities is something else, because, well, you could actually verify that from space. And what we're left with is the conclusion that he's doing it for the clicks. There's definitely a market for anti-Israel opinions, and there's no doubt that there's a substantial market in the Muslim world for a narrative rather than the truth. So the good colonel is likely to get a lot of traction from followers such as those. But what would he want it for? Fame based on fantasies? Well, what's that for? Ego? Some sort of financial advantage? I have no idea. I mean, he got to the rank of colonel. And the whole point about being a high-ranking officer in a modern army is that the first thing is you have a grip on reality. Prioritising narrative over fact and exaggerating things for your own aggrandisement appears to be completely the opposite of everything he must have learnt. And as I said, I simply don't understand why a military trained man like that would make up a story like this. Right, well, yeah, that's it. I just would like to know from anyone watching this why they think Colonel MacGregor said something like this. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.